Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another Voice Essentials live stream. It's great to be with you here in Australia, Brisbane. It's around about 28 degrees. It's approximately 10 a.m. in the morning, and I've got a free session, the only free session I have all day. So I thought I'd jump in, spend the time with all of you, and answer a whole range of your questions. And today specifically, we're going to kick off the conversation, the Q&A, by talking about, specifically talking about voice classification and vocal range. I think there's some confusion that goes on, and we're going to talk a bit about that, unpack it. I see people already jumping on in. It's good to see Jonathan and Haya and Aaron jumping in. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully we'll have a few more people that'll jump in as well. And so make sure you let us know where you're from, let us know what the weather's like where you are, and be sure to leave your questions in the comments section. Make sure you talk with each other where necessary, answer each other questions, but remember, be kind to one another. This is a place of supportive encouragement as we're all on the journey of learning to sing. So without further ado, let me just get my little thing up here and running. Let's get right into today's live stream. If I can do that. That was great, Daniel.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
So good to have you all here. Let's have a look at who's jumped in. So Haya is, Haya, if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, I apologize, but you're from Germany. Jonathan's from Maryland. Cold in Germany, 1 a.m. in the morning. Well, that's why it's cold. Haya, I hope, hi from, Pavel, nice to see you. You've joined us before, I think, from memory, from Illinois. The Corso Brothers Music from Washington State. That's awesome. So it's going to be good to chat with you all today. And what I want to do is today, this particular video, let me just jump over to this screen here.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Oh, hang on a second. We've got music that we don't want there. Just hang on a sec. So let me just go to this screen here. So what we've got here is, see this video, just this one here. This is mine. I did this about 5 months ago, there it is, with Mark Baxter. And we discussed the difference between the tenor and the baritone voice. And Mark and I, when we first talked about doing a collaboration, we very much talked about the idea of doing a collaboration where we could encourage singers to not get caught up in their voice needing to sound like someone else's. And Mark is just a great singing teacher, and really, very much comes from the same sort of hymn book that I do as far as vocal pedagogy, and really believes in encouraging singers. It's not about creating, us being elite people, or, wanting to be better than someone else. We're all on our unique journey, and that was where he came from. He really wanted to encourage singers. And so we thought one way we could do that was to, in a really open and undoctored way, show our voices and the difference between the two, and the fact that both voices have strengths, both voices have weaknesses. Unfortunately, some people have jumped in and made some not so nice comments about feeling that we, for example, that Mark's voice is in fact not a baritone voice, and that my voice is not a great, technically brilliant voice, and I think they've kind of missed the point. And so what I wanted to do is just unpack it a little. Maybe you have already seen that video, and if you haven't, you can jump over and you can just see the I'll take us back over there again. So you just want to search the difference between tenor. In fact, all I typed in was baritone voice, and it came up as number 1. And it is one of my more successful videos as far as views go. So let's just unpack this. Now, what actually motivated me to have this discussion with you today was, in fact, not that video and the comments that have been coming through on it. But what it was actually was this question that came through this morning on my YouTube channel. And he was asking, it was, I can't remember, I think it might have even been a question on that particular video. And let's have a look at it. So here's, it was Sureds writes, quick question, Dr. Dan. I'm about to take your 7-day free singing lessons and I wanted to ask something before I do. My range is very wide, with my lowest note being D2 with minimal strain without fry and growl, and my highest chest note being C5 and sometimes D5 later at night, with my range being 3 octaves. I would wonder whether I am a tenor, baritone or bass. I feel as though I am a baritone with a wide range, as the quality of my voice is best at baritone. And that's a really valuable question for Sureds to be asking. I think we all want to know, what kind of voice am I working with here? And most new students, when they walk in the studio, it's one of the burning questions they have. What kind of voice have I got? And I think it does stem often certainly for those of us who live in Western countries where we grew up in primary schools, and we were being put into our school choir, for those of us who love singing from a very young age, and we're often classified as baritone, tenor, soprano 1, soprano 2, alto. And sometimes those classifications were accurate and sometimes they're not. And as a result, we then go into life sometimes with those labels on our voices, and we may or may not that may or may not fit comfortably with us, especially if we then step into contemporary music where there seems to be this fascination with extreme high notes all the time. If you're a guy, it's there seems to be this idea that we only value the voice if we're singing in the absolute stratosphere of our range. And with women, it tends to be not necessarily that you have to sing in the stratosphere, although those uber whistle notes that we hear, Rihanna, Deborah Morgan, Beyonce at times, Mariah Carey in her earlier years, those really whistle tone notes are often really celebrated, but it's more often for the women it's these high notes but in full chest voice. And the challenge with this is that what happens is everyone comes in wanting to only sort of work on these extreme aspects of their voice, and we forget that in fact the human voice is so much wider, so much broader than a few notes at either the high point or the low point. And let's just go back to Sured's question, because I don't think Sured's is, oh, hang on a second, why did that not work for me? We'll go back to the question. So I don't think Sured's is necessarily being caught up in that. And for those of you who don't know, he's the thing that Sured's is referring to there is the 7 days to a better voice is what Sured's is referring to. There's that there's the logo. For those of you who don't know about that, it's a 7-day program. It's free. And obviously Sured's is thinking about signing up to that. And let's just go back to his question. We don't want that. See, this is the challenge of doing it all by yourself, right? You've got, there's a whole heap of things that need to be thought about as I'm trying to get this right. So here's where we are. So Sured's is talking about his lowest note being D2 and his highest note being C5. Now that's a pretty extensive range. It's just, if he's at D5 later at night, well, I don't know whether we can count that, given that he's sort of accounting for the very extremities of his range. But we're still talking a 2.5 to 3 octave range. Now that's exciting, and that's to be celebrated. And then he goes on to ask, so am I a tenor, baritone, or bass? And that is a really valuable question. But it's an impossible question for me to answer if I don't have the opportunity to hear the voice. what I would want to hear is, where is the voice's sweet spot? Now, the classical singers will refer to that as the fach. I've got to be very careful how I say that, as you can hear. The fach is very much the sweet spot. Where does the voice really blossom fully? And it's usually going to be about an octave, sometimes an octave and a half, within the greater range of the singer's full registrations, and the voice will sit comfortably. Now, for me, and I often get comments here on YouTube about this, my voice, as you can hear, it sits really high. That's because I am a true tenor. It's an unusual voice type. My nickname during high school was Squeak. It took me a little while to come to terms with that, but now I celebrate it. Why? Because that has been the lion's share of my work. I am able to sing high for extended periods of time, and my voice feels happy, and that's where the sweet spot is, up high. And some tenors, that's not the case. For most tenors, that the sweet spot is lower. Now, in the case of Mark classifies himself as a baritone, referring to Mark Baxter. And he classifies himself as a baritone, I dare say, because he knows where his fach is. He knows that it sits lower in his register, and that's where he feels more comfortable to sit. And again, it's not about one being better than the other. It is about ultimately you becoming comfortable with who you are as a unique voice. And let me add this. The idea of voice classification within contemporary voice has a place, and I'm keen for us to be more mindful of it. But the great thing about contemporary voice is that we regularly change keys. Now, in classical voice and in music theatre, changing keys is a big no-no. We're not allowed to do it, and it's frowned upon, and that's because of the age-old traditions that are held within the classical disciplines and that of music theatre. However, well, not so much in music theatre, because there are many classic cases on Broadway, in West End, where composers have allowed the changing of a key to suit a particular actor, singer, so that they feel more comfortable. But nonetheless, in contemporary voice, we regularly change keys, and it is encouraged. Why? Well, firstly, the changing of a key can change the whole timbre and colour of a voice, of a sound of the piece, and therefore it creates a unique expression and a unique performance of the voice. As far as the singer goes, it then allows the singer to place the voice into the sweet spot, the fach of their voice, to really know and feel comfortable about where the voice is going to sit, and to be able to sing the song comfortably. There is nothing wrong with changing keys, and I think many of us, and I've interacted with many of you here on YouTube, are nervous to change keys, because often we've come from that classical ideal where you don't change keys, you've got to always sing it in the original key. Can I also let you in on a little secret? Touring professional vocalists, you know, when we're talking about the big names, the Beyoncés and the Ed Sheerans and all of these people, they often have what we refer to as recorded keys and performance keys. And the performance keys are often, more often than not, a tone and a half to 2 tones lower than the recorded keys. Why? Because they know if they have to sing up in those notes for extended period of time on tour, that the voice will wear and tear, and it will collapse under the load. And that's not smart singing. That's just, you know, trying to prove something for no worth. And so it is good to know that, look, even the professionals, they are constantly dropping keys to be more comfortable. Please take that as permission to do the same for your voice. Sit songs within the sweet spot of your voice and celebrate the uniqueness of your sound. Don't let, for example, don't let the key dictate to you where you should or shouldn't sing. Don't let the Western ideal of high notes are better notes. You know, And don't fall for the lie of TV talent shows that says, you know, the higher you can sing, the louder you can sing, the more veins that can be bopping out of your neck, the better. That is not good singing. The easiest thing to do is to sing loud and high. The hardest thing to do is to sing with expression, to sing quietly, and to be able to manage the voice in an even and expressive manner. So I hope that's a helpful little discussion. I do want to go to your questions now and have a good chat with you about those. We're only going to spend 10 minutes or so going through these, so I hope you've been able to ask some great questions. That was my terrible Irish accent. And so let me just scroll. Oh, some fabulous questions here, and a lot of you here. Aaron from New Jersey, good to see you. Oh, we've got a couple of people. Lawrence from Illinois. Snowing here in Illinois. I've got a student in North Dakota, and yesterday he was telling me that it was snowing quite heavily as well. And for those of you who are interested, I do teach international students all over the world via using Google Hangouts. I used to use Skype, but Skype seems to have, well, it's just no good anymore. Okay, so lately I've been running into problems. This is Haya from Germany. Lately I've been running into problems determining if I am rather a low or high baritone, or even a deep tenor. But since I am taking classical singing lessons, I'm doing Vakaj. Is that a spelling mistake? I'm not sure. Remembering that the classical classification of voice types will often be different to that of contemporary. And in fact, before I jumped on today, I quickly squeezed a few of my contemporary texts. And the only contemporary text, so I looked at Daniel Zanger-Borsch's book, The Complete Vocal Journey. I forget what it's called. It's over on my library. I looked at Vocal Athlete. I looked at the Berkeley book, the Contemporary Singer. I couldn't find any of them that actually pinpointed exactly voice classifications of each of the voice types. The only one that I could find some voice types in it that is a contemporary text was the Seth Riggs book, but even that dates right back into the 80s. I guess the point out of that is not that these pedagogues don't think highly of the idea of voice classification, or even the fact that they don't know anything about it, but in fact that it's not something we place of high importance in contemporary singing, because we change keys and because we don't want us to get caught up in, you know, am I only a baritone? Am I only a, you know, we don't try to box singers in that much, because ultimately we are in search of the uniqueness of your sound. So higher, if you are having classical singing lessons, and then the classical singing teacher is going to direct you to using your voice in a manner that is classical, which is correct if you are wanting to sing classical material. So I hope that's helpful. Jonathan, how did you lift your range? I'm starting to sing high because I think my vocal range is expanding in chest. Any exercises for that? As far as lifting your range, I advocate for the idea of we work the registers, the lower and the upper, up into falsetto for guys, flute for women. We work them in isolation to each other first, and we look to build them, because ultimately we're building muscles to predominate in certain mechanical aspects. You can jump across to my video on vocal registers. Just jump onto the channel and make sure you have a look to check that out. Yeah, then you work them in isolation, and then you look to then connect them by doing transition work. And I use a lot of semi-occluded activity, lip bubbles, tongue trills, and NG, twang work is helpful for creating those sorts of connections. So working your chest register, what I would refer to as a shortened dominant mode. For those of you who talk M1, M2, it would be M1. For those of you who are Joe Estelle people, it would be thick fold. you work that and exercise that and strengthen that. And you can jump across to another video of mine, which is 3 exercises for belt. Again, have a look on the channel for it, and I think that will be helpful for you. Hi, I'm from Birmingham in the UK. Danita, nice to see you. Thanks for joining in. Make sure you let us know what time it is and what the weather is like. It's good for us to all kind of know. Hi, Anne-Marie Jensen. Good to see you here. Who are your favourite male vocalists? I actually answered that question, Jonathan, in a video earlier in the piece on my channel, and I talked about ones like, now this is an Australian singer, many of you may not know of him. John Farnham was a really strong influence on me growing up. And another vocalist who many of you may not have heard of, who I'd encourage you to look up, is a guy by the name of Greg X Volts, and he fronted a band called Petra, and he has a very similar, in fact both of those gentlemen, John Farnham and Greg X Volts, I have a very similar voice type to them, and so I think that's where the influence came in. That being said, I grew up listening to my, I think as we all do, my parents would have their LPs playing. For those of you who don't know what an LP is, it was a long play record. So this is back in the days of the stylus, where if you jumped around the room, the stylus would bump up and down. Give me a thumbs up if you remember those days. And I would listen to a lot of Neil Diamond. And still to this day, one of my favorite songs is that Love on the Rocks, ain't no surprise. Pour me a drink and I'll tell you some lies. Now, I don't do it the same justice that that beautiful baritone, chocolatey voice of Neil Diamond does, but anyway, it's one of my favourite songs of all time. From a German, I got the Fach right. That's awesome. You can translate Fach by saying pocket. Okay. I'll have to think about what you mean there, but I am stoked that I pronounced it correctly. My German lessons in my 2 brief years of classical training at the Queensland Conservatorium have paid off. My German teacher would be very pleased to hear that I got it right, because languages was not my strong point. Let's answer a couple more questions, then we're going to call it a day for today's live stream. Hey, listen, if you've enjoyed the live stream, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. And if you want to always get notifications for the live stream, make sure you hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button, because the bell icon will then give you the option to receive email notifications and other notification types to let you know when I firstly go live, and also when I have my weekly video go live as well, which is always Thursday AM Australian Eastern Standard Time at 5 AM. And this week's, just to give you a heads up, this week we're talking about pre-warm-ups. And I won't give too much away because I encourage you all to watch it, but it's actually working on some body warm-ups. So it's not just for warming up the larynx and the vocal folds, but actually warming up. We don't want to warm up anyone. Warm up the entire body so that your voice is ready as a whole instrument. So I encourage you to all have a look at that. Rebecca, my friend, you've jumped in. Good morning to see you. Rebecca's from down at Barnsdale in Victoria. So nice to see another Aussie jumping in. And one more. Who am I going to give the last question to? Can you give? We're going to give it to Faim Mach. I can't pronounce that for the life of me, but hopefully you can all see the question. Can you give me some tips to strengthen the pharyngeal resonator? So for those of you who don't know what the pharyngeal resonator is, that's an interesting way of saying it. Basically, we're talking about the back of the throat. And it is a primary space for the development of your resonance. And it's certainly where we're able to add a lot of our deeper hues to our colour and to really create more expansive sound. So if the pharynx, which is sitting at the back of the throat, if the pharynx is more narrow, you're going to get more brighter tones. If it's wider, then it'll enable you to add some more deeper hues to the color of your resonance. So some exercises that you can do. In fact, exercise 2 on my singing exercise CD, Dr. Dan's Voice Essentials, which there is a download link in the description sections below this video, and in all of my videos, you can download that video really cheap to video. You can download the exercise CD really cheap. It's only about 25 Australian dollars. For those of you who do, exercise 2 is a single note. So what we do is we look for a single note with a sense of lifted soft palate, but in doing so, when we keep our tongue forward, we should be experiencing a slight widening of the pharyngeal space. And so we would get a sound like this. Ya. I hope that's not too loud. Maybe that might be coming down. Let me just turn this down so I don't blow everyone's heads off. Ya. Yeah, now, if I don't have the space, have a listen to what that sounds like. Ya. You should hear the resonance really drops out of it. Ya. Ya. And it will come across, let me just turn this back up a little bit. Oh, not that much, Daniel. It will sound a little bit classical because it has that really round and full sound. But I hope that really helps and you're able to take that on board. Okay, so we are about to finish up for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's live stream. Remember, I do these live streams at least once a week. And I do them haphazardly. Again, if you want to, receive notification that I'm going live, and I've loved the fact that we've had so many people jump in here on the comments today, so many people from all over the world, Canada and Germany and Arkansas. Good to see you, T. Dennis, again. We've got people from all over the place, so it's really exciting. If you want to join in the conversation live, then make sure you hit that bell icon right next to the subscribe button, because it will give you, YouTube will let you know when I'm going live, and that way we can interact and I can answer your questions. I don't get to everyone's question. Just a little thing, if you do absolutely want your question answered, you can always use the super chat function. Don't use it now because I'm going to stop this particular live stream, but in future, if you want your question answered, because we don't have time to, I try to keep them, they always end up being 30 minutes, these live streams, but I do try to keep them to around about, I'd like them to be more closer to 20 minutes so that people who are not watching live can interact with them a little bit more. But anyway, in future, if you want to make sure your question gets answered, you can use the super chat function, and that makes sure your question goes to the top and we can answer that for you. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, which will be Thursday. We're talking about pre-warm-ups, and I hope you'll get a lot out of those. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, whoops, where's the button here? Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, I'm Dr. Dan. Have a great week. Sing well.